Hey, it's Minute Book Reports, and in this video I wanted to talk about chapters 11 through 17, which is the second part of my sort of read-along, reading update series on War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. One of the things that I noticed was that this section took a lot longer to read than the previous 10 chapters, and there's like this small patch of chapters, maybe like 12 or 13, where the chapters are significantly longer than they were in the, I guess you could say, the first half of this part of the book. And also, when I got to the end of chapter 17, I didn't realize that there were separate books within this book, or I guess you can call it little sub parts of this book. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But it did take me a lot longer. It took me 2 hours and 15 minutes to read just from 11 through 17, which was a long time, but I'm glad that I was able to do that. I read it in sort of smaller parts. My schedule didn't work out where I could just sit and read for 2 hours. I had to read sort of 30 minutes here and then an hour there and sort of patchwork together that amount of time. But I did eventually get to it. One of the things I do want to say when it comes to the actual story in this part is I'm still not a fan of not having a main character with a name. I think that names are so important in stories, in literature. Names help us identify who is who. Of course, the other characters have names, which is good, but the fact that the main character and to some extent his brother don't have names is frustrating. I like stories that have names because names are important to the story, to the culture, to the setting, and it helps create just sort of a persona to that character. I'm already thinking that if I make a summary, or when I make a summary video, what am I supposed to call this person? Do I just refer to him as the man? So the man in the story runs away from the aliens, or then again, the man's brother runs away. It becomes very confusing, and I'm already thinking, I hope that they give him a name. If not, then I guess I'm gonna have to just call him the man in the video that I make, and in any reference that I make to him, which is extremely frustrating. The biggest part about this section of the book that I hope people get a chance to understand is that this story is not about aliens anymore. I know that it's set up to be aliens versus humans, but and I guess that's in the overall context of the story, that's the biggest struggle. But in this section, I noticed that a lot of it had to do with people. This story is becoming more about people than it is about actual aliens and the fighting part, because the fact is that the humans really don't have a chance when it comes to fighting. Now that the alien ships have introduced the black vapor, it's over. The humans have no chance at this. So before, when they were fighting sort of with artillery versus the heat ray, it was somewhat of an even fight, if you can even call it that. But at least the humans could damage the ships. But now that they're releasing the black smoke, the black vapor, where it basically will kill everything in that area, the humans don't stand a chance. And I also like the fact that there's like I don't call it a vacuum ship, but after they spray and release the vapor, the black smoke, there's like a ship, or there's a couple of ships that go behind and they either suck the black vapor away, or they blow it away or something, they neutralize it or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But this story is not about aliens anymore. It's about human beings, and we see that a lot when we're put into the setting of London, because that's sort of where, in this part of the book, everyone's trying to run away. Now they know this attack is real, and they're trying to run away, and you can see the panic in everyone and how everyone is behaving. There's a scene where the brother is with the two women and they're trying to escape, but they run into what, in my mind, I pictured a stream of people, like a constant stream of people just moving past them like a river. And the author takes a lot of time, and this is something that readers should pay attention to. The author takes a lot of time identifying different people in the crowd, and their faces, their moods, the panic that's set in. But all these different people, from the rich people to I think it was it Lord Chamberlain or the Chief of Justice who's dying in the carriage, to the poor people, the people who are old, the people who are young. There was the man who grabbed the gold in the street, and he wouldn't let go of the gold, and then he got ran over. by the cart, and then he still wasn't dead. And then the cart behind them ran him over, and the man's brother just wanted to help him, who wanted to get help to pull this man out of the street so he wouldn't lay there getting trampled to death. And you see scenes like this. You see the reaction to this news, and just the panic, the lack of food, how the boaters are willing to take people, which is what happens. The brother gets on the boat, but I think it's the brother. Yeah, all three of them get on the boat, him and the two women, and they have to pay a lot of money. They also have to pay a lot for food, and the boat becomes more and more crowded. And you see how people change. The aliens brought in definitely a new source of conflict. But rather than sort of band together, our natural reaction, our sense of self-preservation makes us act this way. And you see this in this section of the book. That's important. And I hope that people who read the book understand that they see how important this is. Because this part of the book doesn't really talk about the conflict too much anymore. It's all about the humans. It's primarily about the brother and how what he sees. It does sort of flash back, I guess, to the main narrator, but it's really about the panic that sets in now. It's not so much the what the humans are going to do to fight back. They've already, in a sense, given up. But it's about the common folk and how we act in these situations. There's another scene in the book where the narrator, he meets up with a clergy. I assume some sort of religious priest of some kind. And I think he was in the boat, and he kind of just like wakes up and he's like, "Whoa, nice to meet you." And the clergy is so afraid, and there's this really great line in the book. It's something like, what good is religion if you give it up when it's a hard time or when things are bad? And again, this is an insight into humans and how we may, at very dire times, give up those things that we hold on to the most for security and for better understanding. And it was just incredible, this part of the story. More so than the first half. The first half is definitely exciting. You get the introduction of the aliens and the cylinders, and they're starting to kill people and all of that. Yeah, that's fine. But this is the part where we start to see the turn, the change in humanity, the change in civilization. And the author or the narrator even comments on this and says, the aliens, the Martians, they didn't try to kill everyone, because they could have done that very quickly. They could have wiped them out with the black smoke, with the heat ray. They could have just gone straight to London and just done it, right? But they took their time, and the narrator realizes that they weren't trying to destroy humans. They were trying to destroy the civilization, the intangible stuff that holds us together, our structure, our way of life, the way that we coexist. Those were the things that were starting to unravel in this attack, and that's something that people should definitely pay attention to. Again, I wouldn't say that I'm particularly enjoying this book, because again, I really want to have names, but that part, that psychological study or that reveal to me is so interesting. That's what makes this book, I feel like, one of the better books on the study, or at least the revelation of human behavior. And I know that it's all fiction, but I can definitely see where this could be a thing. This could be possible. It's pointing out, almost from the perspective of the aliens, of the Martians, the weaknesses of humanity. At first it was ignorance. At first, people were just oblivious to what was going on. That was the big problem. And then as news spread, eventually people got more and more aware. But then it was also a lack of empathy, that people knew about it, but they just didn't care because it didn't affect them. So it went from ignorance to empathy. And then now, when everyone knows about it, at least in that area, all of London knows about it. Pretty much all the countryside knows about it. Now it's this sort of poke at how civilized are we when things become life and death? You know, how organized do we stick together or do we fall apart? And I think that it's showing that the weaknesses that we have, you know, this ignorance, this lack of empathy, and of course chaos, are maybe our disposition to chaos, where that becomes our natural state, where when things become bad, it's all about survival. We don't care. And I just keep thinking about that stream of people going through and how the author just describes all these different people, all just wanting to live. They're all different, but now they're all just wanting to live, and you can see it in their faces, you can see it in their actions, and it just creates this I don't know, boiling pot that's ready to just boil over and spill over to total chaos. So those are my thoughts on chapters 11 through 17. I'm looking forward to reading, I guess, what is book 2 in this, in War of the Worlds. I didn't know that they were divided up into different books and all that, but it was a pleasant surprise. I was expecting to see, oh, chapter 18, and then, oh, it goes back to chapter 1. So I have to figure out how I'm gonna figure that out in this video series. Am I gonna call it chapter 1 again? I'm not really sure. But I really enjoyed that part of this story, and I hope that people who read this story can appreciate that. It's a lot longer than the first 10 chapters, for sure. My reading time is definitely proof of that. But this part, the chapters are dense, and I feel like it becomes a story more about humans, about humanity. And that's always more exciting to me than just action aliens fighting the humans. So those are my thoughts so far on this book. I'm definitely enjoying it, although I wish, like I said, there was a name to the main character, or even his brother would be nice. Those are my thoughts so far on War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.